an indication from your nieces online this morning.
Hi, Owen, it's me, Adele.
Morning, Adele. I'm sorry, I'm about few minutes late. I just stepped out of the shower. I didn't realize the time. How are you?
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Any announcements from your side?
No, just the usual. You know the drill.
Okay. Thank you, Adele.
Okay, Owen.
Good morning, students. Um, can I just get an indication on who's new on the platform this morning? Any students joining for the first time? Any students joining for the first time this morning? Um, Peter Kirby, are you new? I know Manny Stellenberg. I know Melissa Leroux. Ewald Swart, are you new? Louise Esterhazy, I know you. Is Nadia is Nadia Koopman online this morning? I have an announcement for you. Then also Angela, I looked at two of your writing pieces. The other one I will look at today. Okay, and I will give you feedback either later tonight or tomorrow morning. I hope that's okay with you, Angela.
Good morning, Advocate.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, thank you so much for the feedback. Much appreciated.
Angela, what I want you to do is I want you to, in the course of next week,
Yes, sir.
I was advised by Ms. Blacker that you arranged an individual consultation session with me. I haven't
Yes, sir.
received any information related to that. So fill out the query form again and schedule something with me for next week. The two of us need to chat. Okay?
Okay, I'll do so. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I'm impressed for a first year student. Your writing is good. I'm impressed with it. If you keep that up, you answer your exam questions like that. I'm impressed with your writing. So keep it up. Practice the skill of writing, but keep it up. You're on the right path. Okay?
Thank you so
I'm
much, sir.
impressed with you. Okay.
Thank you.
And then if Nadia Koopman is online, Nadia, you need to speak to me because we missed the session yesterday. So I need to put something in place to make a new arrangement with you. Okay? And then students, your exams are in the first few days of December. Okay? So the whole month of November, I said that I'm going to do extensive revision. I'm going to speak to Ms. Blacker, who provides me with support. And those of you who are in the Cape Town area, in the CBD area, I might consider face-to-face individual sessions with you guys. Okay? So let me first confirm that. Manny Stolberg, do you have a question for me? Your mic is turned on.
Sorry, Advocate.
Do you have a question for me, Manny?
No, I made a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, welcome to the chat. So I am done with my announcements for now. What I want you guys to do is Ms. Blacker will send the link for the past recordings. You guys need to You guys need to put your student numbers into the chat function, please, so we can, that is for purposes. So put your student number into the chat function for me. And then I did domicile last week. Let me give you the following. You can be 100% sure that there's going to be a problem question on domicile. So please prepare domicile for me thoroughly. Okay? I will touch on domicile during the revision sessions again. Okay? So now, before we start with the discussion this morning, are there any questions for me? Before we start with the discussion, are there any questions for me? Post them now. You either unmute your mic and ask me the question, or you put your question into the chat function for me. Anyone? Angela, just answer me quickly.
Yes, sir.
Angela, in which area do you told me the last time you reside in Greenpoint?
C point, sir.
C point, okay. Angela, I'm not going to give you high hopes, but I think a face-to-face session for the two of us would be possible because I work in the Cape Town CBD. So we could arrange, I'm going to get permission first. We could arrange to have at least an hour face-to-face.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
it
I'll
could be
appreciate that.
possible. Okay,
I'll wait to
because
hear from you then.
we're not far from each other. Okay, but you need to fill out the query form to request the face-to-face. Okay,
Okay.
so once you request that, I will make
Okay,
counts for
advocate.
all of the students. Thank you, Angela. This this concession I'm making can count for all of the students who are in the Cape Town CBD as well as in the northern suburbs of Cape Town. Okay, I could possibly make that arrangement with you for individual consultation and revision sessions. Remember, in terms of what UNISA now allows, you are allowed 2 sessions with me per week. Okay? You are allowed 2 sessions with me per week. So please make use of that. Okay? Please make use of that. So you need to give me at least 2 minutes or so just to access my iPad so I can get the notes and then we can start. I'm going to request again, are there any questions related to last week's work? Any questions related to last week's work? Okay, so this morning is the law of persons. We did last week, we spoke on domicile. Okay, there's no questions on domicile. So let me guide you to our next discussion for this morning so that you can get ready and then we can start the discussion. Let me just see.
originated 2 minutes. We're on hand to assist you anyway. Keep the masks on all day. Please keep yours on while in the cab. You may remove it when undertaking vigorous activity, provided you're 2 meters away from any other person.
Okay, there's no questions. I will tell you where we will start. I just want to touch on, because students, whatever I do from now onwards, okay, take it as important for exam preparation. Okay, whatever I do now, this is some clue I'm giving you. Whatever I'm doing now, regarded as important for exam preparation. Okay, so I want us to start again today on Learning Unit 8. Okay, I want us to go to Learning Unit 8 on page 60. And today, I want to discuss again, if I did not discuss it, I'm not sure now, so my apologies for that. I want to discuss again children born of unmarried parents. Okay, so please regard this as important. Children born of unmarried parents. Okay, so please go to Learning Unit 8, page 60. Okay, Andre Angelo Peters. Okay, indicate to me if you knew. Indicate to me if this is your first time here today. Where's Andre Angelo Peters? Is it your first time here today? Okay, Andre's not responding. Okay. So, what I want us to look at first is the definition of children born of unmarried parents. Okay. And also, we're going to look at children born of married parents. Okay, so both categories of children, the rights and responsibilities afforded to holders of parental rights, okay, is regulated by the Children's Act. Okay, so familiarize yourself firstly with Section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay, that section, very important. It contains the assigned parental rights and responsibilities to holders of parental rights and responsibilities. Okay, so very, very importantly, students, Section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay. So very, very importantly, what you should know is the status of the parent, okay? And this now relates to marriage. The status of the parent will affect the status of the child, okay? So depending on whether those parents are married or unmarried, I'm talking about marital status, married or unmarried, that status will automatically affect the status of the child. Okay? And also, it links in to section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay? Because the terms child born of unmarried or married parents is important for determining parental rights and responsibilities. Okay? So, firstly, students, okay? Firstly, a child born of married parents, okay? We firstly going to look at married parents. Okay? So, firstly, married parents. So, a child born of married parents is one born of parents, firstly, who are legally married to each other at the time. Okay, you need to underline this, you need to make a note of this. This is very, very important. Okay, I'm going to start again. A child of married parents is one born of parents. Here comes the important part. Who are legally married to each other. Here comes at the time of the child's conception, firstly, when the child is conceived. Secondly, or at birth. Or thirdly, at any intervening time. So, firstly, it's at conception. Secondly, at birth. And thirdly, at any intervening time. So let me give you an example of any intervening time. Okay? The parents of the child is unmarried at the time of conception. They unmarried at the time of birth. But now the child is 18 months old. The child is now 18 months old, and the parents now decide to get married. Okay? That would result at an intervening time. Okay? So parents legally marry each other well after the birth of this child. This child will then be regarded as a child born from married parents. Okay? Are there any questions for me so far? Any questions for me so far, students? Let me check. Okay, Andre, I'm seeing it's your second time. Welcome, Andre. Are there any questions for me so far? Any questions so far? Okay, thanks, Angela. Hey, let's continue. So, very, very importantly, students, I told you one of the pieces of legislation we're using this morning is the Children's Act. Okay, one of the pieces of legislation we're using this morning is the Children's Act, and let me give you the full citation. Okay, we're working with the Children's Act 38 of 2005. Okay, and very, very importantly, the Children's Act, okay, covers the type of marriages that is recognized in the South African legal system. Okay, so when we refer to a child born to married parents, okay, the following marriages, okay, are regarded as legal marriages in the South African legal system. Okay, so the first marriage we're looking at is the civil marriage. Okay, the civil marriage originates from the common law. Okay, and if you look at the definition of a civil marriage, it speaks of the voluntary union between one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. Okay, so the conventional civil marriage is between a man and a woman. Okay, and also the legislation covering the civil marriage is the Marriages Act, as well as the Divorce Act, the Maintenance Act, the Matrimonial Property Act, etc., etc. Okay. The second legally recognized marriage in South African law is the civil union. Okay, so this civil union is a fairly new piece of legislation. Okay, and yesterday, just be mindful of the following. Yesterday, the president assented, meaning the president signed of new legislation. The president assented to the Civil Union Amendment Act. So your homework, okay, your first piece of homework is to go familiarize yourself with the content of the Civil Union Amendment Act. Okay, so I want you guys by Wednesday afternoon for the latest, I want you guys to submit a written piece to me on your understanding of the Civil Union Amendment Act. Okay, so the second valid marriage is regulated by the civil union. And what does the civil union provide for? Firstly, one of the important aspects of the civil union is that it provides for the legal marriage or the legal partnership between parties of the same sex. Okay, so it provides for a legal marriage between man and man. It provides for a legal marriage between woman and woman. And it also provides for a legal marriage between opposite sexes, man and woman. Okay? So the civil union, and that is covered by the Civil Union Act 17 of 2006. Okay, I've mentioned two valid marriages in South African law now. The third valid marriage, students, is the recognition of the Customary Marriages Act, okay, Act number 120 of 1998. Okay, so children born out of these marriages regulated by these three pieces of legislation, okay, these children are regarded as children born of married parents, okay, and be mindful of the three aspects, okay. The one is at conception. The other aspect is at birth, and the other aspect is at any intervening time. Okay? Any questions for me so far? Any questions for me so far? Okay. The next class of children we're going to touch on is children born of unmarried parents. Okay? Children born of unmarried parents. Okay? So please take note of the following. Students, give me 1 second. I'm just standing at the counter quickly. I just need to order something. 1 second. You go to, I want you on page 62, the bottom of the paragraph. Okay, give me 1 minute. I just need to order something quickly. Okay, students, I'm back. Our new life. Students, I'm back. We're going to look at the second class of children, and these are children born of married parents. Okay, so very, very important, student. If a child's parents are not parties to a valid marriage, and here I'm referring to a civil marriage, a civil union, okay, or a customary marriage, okay, with each other. Firstly, the time of the child's conception, okay, there those three stages are again. At the time of the child's conception or at birth. or at any intervening time. Who's KS? Please switch off your mic. Abueni, are you back online? Abueni, are you back online? Just say yes or no
Yes,
in the chat.
advocate. Yes, advocate.
Okay, so just switch off your mic for me. Thank you, Abueni. Okay, so I was saying if parties are not legally married, okay, at the time of the child's conception, okay, or birth, or any intervening time, the child is regarded as a child born of unmarried parents. Okay, now in terms of that, okay, I'm going to backtrack now in the next few seconds, but in terms of this aspect, okay, when it comes to the assignment of parental rights and responsibilities, okay, all parental rights and responsibilities are vested with the biological mother of the child. Okay? So, what you should be mindful of, okay? A child born of unmarried parents, once that child is born, okay, all parental rights and responsibilities in terms of Section 18 of the Children's Act, those rights are vested with the biological mother. Okay? So, what you should be mindful of is that the rights of the unmarried father, it is not automatic. Okay? The rights of the unmarried father is not automatic. Okay? So, in terms of Section 18 of the Children's Act, all parental rights and responsibilities, when it comes to a child of unmarried parents, all rights are vested with the biological mother. Okay? Please be mindful that the rights of the unmarried father are not automatic. Okay? The rights of the unmarried father are not automatic. Okay? So let me step back quickly to a child born of married parents. Okay? Once that child is born, both the mother and the father, so yeah, I'm speaking biological mother, biological father, both parties are vested with parental rights and responsibilities in terms of Section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay? Both parties are vested with parental rights and responsibilities in terms of the Children's Act. Okay? Any questions for me so far? Any questions for me so far, students? Any questions for me so far? Okay, let's continue. Okay. Okay, so let's now look at categories of children born of unmarried parents. Let's quickly first look at the various categories of children whom are born from unmarried parents. Okay, so the first category, I'm at paragraph 8.4.1. The first category is a child conceived from artificial fertilization. A child conceived from artificial fertilization. Okay. Artificial fertilization refers to the introduction, students, by artificial means. Okay, so artificial means basically means it's by means of a medical procedure. It's not natural. Okay, it's artificial. So by artificial means of male gamete into the internal reproductive organs of a woman for the purpose of human reproduction. Okay? Students, I'm going to repeat that. So, a child born of artificial fertilization basically means, or it refers to, okay, artificial fertilization refers to the introduction by artificial means of a male gamete into the internal reproductive organs of a woman for the purpose of human reproduction. Okay? So let's jump to paragraph 8.4.3 on page 64. Okay, and we look at the relationship between the child and the birth mother, and between the child and the person whose gamete was used for the artificial fertilization. Okay, but you must be mindful of the following, students. Please be mindful of the following, and you need to be able to draw a distinction, okay? Because there is a difference between artificial fertilization, okay, without the use of a surrogate mother, and with the use of a surrogate mother. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a moment and pose a question group. Okay, the question to the group is, you can either unmute your mic and discuss with me, or you can enter it into the chat function. What is your understanding of a surrogate mother? Students, what is your understanding of a surrogate mother?
Hi, advocate.
You aren't Angela.
A surrogate
You can
mother
continue.
is a woman who's used to carry the child by using the fertilized egg, an egg fertilized by the husband's sperm and transferred into her. So she carries the
The
child
gamut.
on, yes, the gamut in place of the actual mother.
Okay. So, what is the purpose of a surrogate mother?
The purpose, it's, well, I can't say exactly there's a purpose of her because there's different reasons why people get surrogate mothers. It could be that the woman cannot carry the child herself, or that she does
Okay,
not have.
Angela, let me stop you there quickly.
Okay.
First, tell me you haven't told me what your understanding of a surrogate mother is. First,
Okay.
tell me that quickly. Repeat that.
Okay. A surrogate mother is a woman who carries a child, um, in place of the actual mother.
Okay. And what happens when the child is born?
The surrogate hands over the child
To who?
to the actual mother. To the
You can't
when I say
refer
actual mother,
to
I
another
mean
part,
to another party, yes.
to
The
another part.
person whose egg was used, yes.
Okay.
The woman whose egg was used.
Okay. Okay.
That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, advocate.
Okay. I'm just going to check what other students say and check the chat function, then we'll continue. Thank you, Angela. Okay, let's see quickly. Okay, so a surrogate mother, okay, and please be mindful, okay, this agreement is regulated by a surrogacy agreement, okay, that needs to be made an order of the High Court, okay. So in terms of a surrogacy agreement, a surrogate mother carries a child, okay, and hands off the birth in terms of the agreement, the surrogacy agreement, hands the child once born over to the commissioning parents, okay, hands the child over to the commissioning parent or parents, okay. So please be mindful of that. But what we need to do is, when it comes to a child born of artificial fertilization, we must be able to make the distinction whether it's artificial fertilization without the use of a surrogate mother and with the use of the surrogate mother. Okay? Because based on that, you have to take note of, it's very important, we have to take note of who is assigned parental rights and responsibilities. Okay? So, where I've stated, it's when we refer to surrogacy, it's regulated by a surrogacy agreement. Okay, so firstly, where there is a valid, okay, a surrogacy agreement only becomes valid once it's made an order of the High Court. So, where there is a valid surrogate motherhood agreement in place, okay, o- okay, at the time of birth, okay, where there is a valid surrogate motherhood agreement in place at the birth of the child. This is now in terms of the agreement. At the birth of the child, the surrogate mother, okay, it terminates the any rights the surrogate mother has to the child, okay, and those rights are conferred onto the commissioning parent or the commissioning parents, okay. Okay, and when there's no surrogate motherhood agreement in place, okay, and we're talking of a child born from artificial fertilization without a surrogate motherhood agreement in place, okay, the rights are conferred onto the person who gives birth to the child, and that will be the biological mother. Okay? If the biological mother is legally married, okay? If the biological mother is legally married, then the her husband, okay? Her husband also is regarded as the father of the child. Okay, so let's look. Any questions for me, students? Any questions before we go on to paragraph 8.5.2? Okay,
Hi, Advocate, can you just clarify again on where there is no valid contract? You said the rights are conferred to the person who gives birth. It's just the surrogate mother.
no, it's not the surrogate mother, because
Mm-hmm.
firstly, you need to make a distinction on whether there was a surrogacy agreement in place. Okay, so
Okay.
if there's no surrogacy agreement, you can't refer to the birth mother as the surrogate mother.
Okay. So
Okay,
this is okay.
only Angela, if there's a surrogacy agreement in place, then we refer to the birth mother as the surrogate mother. Okay, where there's no surrogacy agreement in place,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that child is then a child born to a mother out of artificial fertilization.
Oh, okay.
Okay, does it make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And
Thank you.
that birth mother is now regarded as the mother of the child.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and parental rights and responsibilities is conferred onto her immediately.
Okay.
Does
Thank
it
you.
make sense? Okay,
It does.
so when it comes to a surrogacy agreement, okay, very, very important. When it comes to a valid surrogacy agreement, the surrogate mother, okay, gives birth to the child, But at birth, and this is regulated by what? By an agreement, okay? By the surrogacy agreement. At birth, that surrogate mother loses all parental rights and responsibilities. And those parental rights and responsibilities are immediately conferred onto the commissioning parent or parents. Okay?
Okay, so a valid contract needs to be signed in order to distinguish whether it's a valid surrogate mother or not.
That's
Hello,
correct.
advocate.
That's correct.
Okay, so
Okay?
if there's a verbal agreement, that doesn't count.
No, because the surrogacy agreement must be made in order of the High Court. Remember,
Oh, okay,
the High
okay,
Court is upper guardian of all minor children. Okay?
okay,
So the High Court is the custodian who needs to act in the best interest of all minor children. Hence, that contact must be made in order of the High Court. Okay?
okay. Thank you for the clarity.
Okay. Then there was another student online with a question. What is your name, firstly? Okay, someone else asked me a question. What is your name, firstly? Can you give me your name? Can you give me your name, or have you disappeared? Okay. Abu Abuwinwi. Abinwi. Okay, ask your question. Abinwi, ask your question. I see your hand is raised. Ask your question.
Hello, advocate.
Yes, I'm listening.
Advocate.
What is your
It's
question,
Sabine
sir?
here. I want to understand again what. Yes, I want to understand who then is the biological mother of the baby. Is it the mother that X was used for the artificial fertilization or insemination? Hello, advocate.
Ask your question again.
Hello.
Ask your question again.
Yes, advocate. Who is then becomes the biological mother of the baby? If I can understand well, is it the mother whose egg was used for the artificial fertilization?
In which circumstance? In which circumstance?
Say if two couples, let's say there was no, we're not talking about the court order now, any of those things. If two couples have an egg of a third woman using the sperms of the husband to fertilize the egg of another woman who is not part of the relationship or of the marriage, who is
You breaking up there? You breaking up? So you asking if it's a child born of artificial fertilization and there's no surrogacy agreement in place. Okay? The answer to that, sir, is the woman who gives birth to the child is regarded then as the biological mother. Okay? The woman who gives birth to the child is now regarded as the biological mother. Okay? Does that make sense? Abinwe, does that make sense to you? Okay, I'm not getting a response from you. You can either then put your response in the chat function for me. Okay, you can put your response into the chat function for me. Okay. So, Binway, you can also mute your mic. Okay. So now that we are done with a child,
Hello, Advocate.
yes,
I'm sorry, I lost.
you breaking up again? You breaking up again? Are you there? Okay, we're struggling to get a Binway back.
Advocate,
So
are we getting me now? Hello,
I'm
Advocate.
getting you now. I'm getting you now.
Okay, Advocate. Sorry, I lost my connection, so I didn't get your answer to my question.
Okay,
I was
so
asking now. My question was, a woman that gets artificially inseminated or with a father's sperm, who is not part of the marriage or the relationship. In this case, who becomes the traditional surrogate mother? Is it the biological mother of the child?
okay, Binway, your understanding of the concept is wrong. And firstly, you need to get your understanding right. Okay. So,
Yes.
in terms of a child born of artificial fertilization, okay, you need to be able, and this is what I explained to Angela as well. Okay, you need to be able to make the following distinction. Okay, and the distinction is a child born of artificial fertilization. Is there a valid surrogacy agreement in place? Yes or no? Okay. If there's a
Yes.
valid surrogacy agreement in place, okay? If there's a valid surrogacy agreement in place, the surrogate mother, once she gives birth to the child, okay, she
Yes.
loses her parental rights and responsibilities. And those rights and responsibilities are immediately conferred onto the commissioning parent or parents.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
first situation. When
Okay.
there is no surrogacy agreement in place, okay,
Yes.
where there is no surrogacy agreement in place, the woman who gives birth to the child is regarded as the biological mother of the child, and
Okay.
parental rights are immediately conferred onto her. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It makes sense, Advocate. But what I'm trying to understand is, it is this woman's egg that was fertilized. So I'm talking now of the position of not parental right or guidance, but on the position of a biological mother.
The biological mother, if there's no surrogacy agreement in place, is the woman who gives birth to the child. But
Okay.
that child was conceived from artificial fertilization. Okay? But the woman then, yes?
So if I can understand, it means if there is an agreement in place, then and it was not that the mother who the surrogate mother becomes the biological mother, it naturally then becomes the mother of the couples who are married, who needed the baby.
I don't understand what you're saying.
What I want to understand, Advocate, is that if couples are married and they need a baby, a surrogate mother is another woman that is being artificially fertilized.
Yes.
Her egg is being used.
By means of an agreement.
Okay. All right. So though it is her egg that is being used for the fertilization, traditionally it is her egg that is being used for the fertilization, she can still lose being the biological mother if there was an agreement in place.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, that
Okay,
is regulated by the surrogacy agreement.
okay, advocate. I
Okay,
understand now.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you, advocate.
you can put your mic on mute. Students, any other questions? Students, any other questions? Okay, now we go over to paragraph 8.2.51. Okay,
Sorry,
we
sorry to disturb you.
who's that speaking to me?
Are you speaking to Peter?
Okay, Peter, what is your question?
I did type it on the chat, but you didn't.
Okay, let me check for you. Peter. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Remember, I'm working with two devices. I'm working with my iPad and my iPhone. Peter, if there's a surrogacy agreement in place at birth, the surrogate mother decides to keep the child, what happens? Okay, then the matter must go to court to decide. Okay, but in terms of the agreement, the surrogate mother loses parental rights of the child. Okay, the surrogate mother now has to bring a court application, and this is a high court application. Firstly, for the surrogacy agreement to be set aside, she needs to show cause, she needs to provide substantive reasons, and then, so the application would be a twofold application for the surrogacy agreement to be set aside, and secondly, for parental rights and responsibilities to be conferred onto the surrogate mother. Do you have that? Peter, do you have that?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay. Now, let's go over to proof of parentage. Okay. So, the Children's Act, students, very, very importantly, remember our guiding legislation is the Children's Act. Okay. So, the Children's Act, okay, the Children's Act provides for, let me just tell you here, for 3 categories of persons that will be excluded from legally qualifying as the child of a parent. Okay, the Children's Act provides for 3 categories of persons to be excluded as being regarded as the parent of a child. I want you to go find that. Okay, it's in your textbook. I want you to go find that and familiarize yourself with it, and you must be able to discuss it. So please go do that. And now we go to our next aspect, which is presumption of paternity. Okay. So, firstly, when it comes to a civil marriage, students, when it comes to a civil marriage and a marriage in terms of the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, when it comes to those 2 types of marriages, the husband. Okay, the husband the woman is married to. Okay, the husband the woman is married to at the time of the child's birth. Okay, the husband, there's a presumption that exists. Okay, I want you to go find me the Latin maxim. Go find me the Latin maxim and make it part of your answer to me. Okay, so when it comes to a civil marriage and a marriage in terms of the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, the presumption exists that the husband of the woman who gives birth to the child, the husband of the woman who gives birth to the child is regarded as the biological father of the child, okay, until the contrary has been. I'm going to say it again. There's a common law presumption that is in place. Okay. There's a common law presumption in place. There's a common law presumption in place. Okay. That if a woman is married, okay, a husband, and this is in terms of a civil marriage and a marriage in terms of the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act. Okay, the husband, her husband, she is married to, okay, is automatically regarded as the father of the child. Okay, I said there's a common law presumption regulating, okay, proof of parentage. You must go find me the presumption. Okay, go find that presumption. And then, students, a child born of a woman who is a party to a civil union, okay, a rebuttable presumption exists in our law that in respect of paternity of children, okay, they are born from a legal marriage or from a civil union. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. There's no questions. Let's continue. Okay. There's no questions. We continue. Okay. And then we go to paragraph 8.5.2.2, and that's on page 65. 8.5.2.2, and that's on page 65. And this paragraph relates to the following. It speaks of a child born of a woman who is not a party to a marriage or a civil union. Okay? Who is not a party to a marriage or a civil union. Okay? In terms of that, okay, there is a rebuttable presumption, okay, in respect of a man who had sexual intercourse. Okay, there's a rebuttable presumption relating to a man, or in respect of a man who had sexual intercourse with the mother of the child when the child has been conceived. Okay, that man will now be regarded as the father of the child. Okay, I'm saying there is a rebuttable presumption. Okay, and now we look at the following factor, which is at paragraph 8.5.3. And here we are now looking at corroboration of the mother's evidence. Okay, we're looking now at corroboration of the mother's evidence. Okay, so yeah, students, the mother's evidence as far as sexual intercourse is concerned still has to be corroborated. Okay, so that section I want you to do on your own when it comes to the mother's corroboration of sexual intercourse. Okay, you must also look at the following factors. Okay, this is very important because you might just get an exam question on it. Okay, you must be able to look at the factors, very, very importantly, that may be relevant in proving paternity or rebutting a presumption of paternity. Okay, I'm just going to briefly name the factors. Okay, but you have to know them completely. Those of you, I'm giving you the option. Those of you who want to, okay, can make me a summary of these factors, students, but you're going to include case law in your summary. Okay, you can make a summary of these factors relevant for proving paternity or rebutting the presumption of paternity. You have to add case law to your discussion, of course. You can do a written piece on it. You can send it to me. I will mark it for you, and you can be sure then that you are prepared in terms of that question for examination purposes. Okay? So I'm just going to briefly go through the factors. Okay? And the first factor students, is the absence of sexual intercourse. Okay? Is the absence of sexual intercourse. Factor number 2, the gestation period. Factor number 3, okay, factor number 3, the issue of sterility. Okay, factor number 3, the issue of sterility, the next factor is a Latin maxim. The next factor is a Latin maxim, okay, and this speaks of the exceptio plurum conventuum, okay. The next factor relates to physical features. The next factor, contraceptives. The next factor, the issue of contraceptives. The following factor, the issue of scientific facts. Okay. So I'm going to quickly run through that again. It's the issue of scientific facts, contraceptives, physical features, the exceptio plurum concubintium, okay, sterility, the gestation period, absence of sexual intercourse. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions so far, students? Any questions for me? Okay. If there's no questions,
Hi, advocate.
Angela, I see you left the conversation.
Oh yeah, I got disconnected for a few seconds.
Okay. Angela, what's your question?
What exactly do you want us to discuss here? Do you want us to discuss the factors that may be relevant or?
Yes, the factors that may be relevant when it comes to
Proving
when
paternity.
it comes to proving paternity, and when it comes to rebutting the presumption of paternity. Okay,
And
but
we must make use of
I've
the case laws as
named
well.
I've named the factors for you now. I've
Mhm.
briefly named them. You must be able to discuss them. And in terms of discussing them, you must be able to provide case law to your discussion as well.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? If there's no questions, if there's no questions, I want us to go to page 72, okay? And this is the last aspect I'm going to be dealing with for today, okay? In terms of page 72, I want us now to discuss the parental rights and responsibilities of an unmarried father. Okay. I want us to discuss the parental rights and responsibilities of the unmarried father. So please be mindful, students. The parental rights and responsibilities of an unmarried father, these rights are regulated in terms of section 21 of the children. Okay, the rights and responsibilities of an unmarried father is regulated in terms of section 21 of the Children's Act. Okay, and I told you previously when this discussion started, when it comes to children born of unmarried parents, I told you that in terms of the unmarried mother and the unmarried father, when the child is born, at the birth of that child, the full parental rights and responsibilities are immediately conferred onto the unmarried mother of the child. Okay? Parental rights and responsibilities are immediately conferred onto the unmarried mother of the child. I told you that necessarily it's not the case with the father. So when it comes to the rights of an unmarried father, okay, students, his rights are not necessarily automatic. Okay, I want you to be mindful of that. Okay, the unmarried father's rights are not necessarily automatic. Okay, and the rights of the unmarried father is regulated by section 21 of the Children's Act. Okay? Let's continue. Okay. So, students, firstly, when the rights of the unmarried father is in dispute, okay, when the parental rights and responsibilities of an unmarried father is in dispute, okay, the following needs to happen. Okay, but before we do that, I just want to do the following. Is there a question? Okay, I want to do the following. I've been speaking of section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay, those of you who don't have the Children's Act, I just want to quickly pause and go through the rights and responsibilities as contained in section 18 of the Children's Act. Okay, so parental rights and responsibilities are contained in terms of section 18.2 of the Children's Act. So the first right in terms of section 18.2a is to care for the child. Okay, 18.2a is to care for the child. 18.2b is to maintain contact with the child. 18.2b is to maintain contact with the child. 18.2c is to act as the guardian of the child. Okay, those are regarded as the three rights in terms of section 18.2. Okay, so section 18.2 in terms of section 18.2a, b, and c, okay, makes provision for three types of parental rights. Okay, I'm going to repeat myself. Section 18.2a, b, and c makes provision for three parental rights. Okay, we refer to these rights as parental rights and responsibilities. Okay, so the first right is the right to care for the child, maintain contact with the child, and C, to act as the guardian of the child. Okay? If we go to section 18.2d, that is a responsibility. Okay, and here we are talking about the responsibility to contribute to the maintenance of the child. Okay, so those four together, those four aspects together in section 18.2 of the Children's Act, A, B, C, and D, those are regarded as the parental rights and responsibilities. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, Louise, will you submit the homework? You email it to me. I'm putting my email, I'm replying with my email address. So I said that the unmarried father's rights are not necessarily automatic. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first scenario. Okay, so I've also said to you, okay, that when there is a dispute regarding the parental rights and responsibilities of the unmarried father, okay, there first needs to be a determination on whether that unmarried father qualifies for parental rights and responsibilities. And this is whether he qualifies automatically. Okay? So when there's a dispute about the exercise of the parental rights and responsibilities of the unmarried father, okay, firstly, a determination needs to be made whether that unmarried father has automatic rights and responsibilities. Okay, and the unmarried father will be regarded as a holder of parental rights in the following circumstances. Okay, So in the following circumstances, if the unmarried father and the mother of the child, okay, very, very importantly, students, if the unmarried father and the mother of the child lived together, okay, as a couple, okay, when those two parties lived together as a couple under the same roof, okay, they must have lived together as a couple under the same roof when that child was born, okay. When the unmarried mother and the unmarried father lived together as a couple under the same roof when that child was born, the unmarried father automatically attains parental rights and responsibilities in terms of Section 18(2) of the Children's Act, and he is now regarded as a co-holder of rights. Okay, students, do you have that? Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Hi, Advocate.
Yes, Angela?
Is there a time period where they should be living together, or it doesn't matter as long as they live together at the time of birth?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. As long as they live together at the time of birth of the child. Okay. Under one roof as a couple. Okay. Then the second scenario. Okay. So in the first scenario I explained to you, the father now attains automatic rights and responsibilities, and he is now regarded as a co-holder of parental rights and responsibilities. But now comes the second scenario where this child was born and the couple did not live together under the same roof, okay? Or they were no longer a couple anymore, they had broken up, okay? And now there's a dispute about the father's parental rights and responsibilities, okay? So in this scenario, where the couple have not lived together at the time of birth of the child, or the couple is no longer a couple anymore, okay? Now, the father, this unmarried father, now needs to meet certain requirements, okay? This unmarried father needs to meet certain requirements. And these requirements are now regulated by Section 21(3) of the Children's Act. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. Where there is a situation where the unmarried mother and the unmarried father did not live together at the birth of the child, or they were even no longer a couple anymore when this child was born, and there is now a dispute with regard to the parental rights and responsibilities of the unmarried father. Okay, the law states that his parental rights cannot be regarded as automatic, and this unmarried father now needs to meet certain requirements, and these requirements are now regulated in terms of section 21(3) of the Children's Act. Okay, and these requirements are as follows. Okay, the first requirement he needs to meet is the unmarried mother needs to confirm that he is the father of the child. Okay? The unmarried mother needs to confirm that he is the father of the child. Okay? When it is parties to a customary relationship, an additional requirement must be met, students. Okay? When it is parties to a customary relationship, an additional requirement must be met. Okay? So, aside from the unmarried mother acknowledging that the unmarried father is indeed the father of the child, the additional requirement this unmarried father needs to meet is whether or not he paid damages in terms of African customary law. Okay? Whether or not he paid damages in terms of African customary law. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. There's no questions. We go over to the next requirement. The next requirement this unmarried father needs to meet is whether he was part, okay? Whether he was part of the child's upbringing, okay? Or whether he attempted in good faith to be part of the child's life and upbringing. Okay? The next requirement, whether the unmarried father was part of the child's upbringing, life and upbringing, or whether he made reasonable attempts to be part of the child's life and upbringing. And then the last requirement is whether the unmarried father, in good faith, okay, whether the unmarried father, in good faith, contributed to the maintenance of the child, or he made reasonable attempts to contribute to the maintenance of the child. The unmarried father, and I'm using the word must, okay, it's peremptory in terms of section 21(3). The unmarried father must meet all of these requirements, okay? The unmarried father must meet all of these requirements, and then if the parties were parties to a relationship, the unmarried father must meet the additional requirement on whether he paid damages or not. Okay? So if the father, unmarried father, students, meets all of these requirements, parental rights and responsibilities in terms of Section 18.2 can be conferred onto him. Okay? But now, students, if the father does not meet one or all of the requirements in terms of Section 21.3, okay? If there is a situation where the unmarried father, and this happens a lot, it happens frequently, okay? If there is a situation where the unmarried father does not meet the requirements, one or all of the requirements, in terms of Section 21.3, it means parental rights cannot be conferred onto him. Okay? It means parental rights and responsibilities can not be conferred onto him, and he now needs to bring an application to court. Okay, preferably the High Court, because the High Court is the upper guardian of all minor children, to have his rights as an unmarried father confirmed. Okay, you must also be mindful, students, that High Court applications and High Court litigation is very, very expensive. So the Children's Court, okay, it's a court, it's a lower court with magistrates court jurisdiction. Our Children's Court also has the jurisdiction to confer parental rights and responsibilities onto an unmarried father. Okay? Are there any questions? Okay? Are there any questions for me? Okay? If there's no questions, I'm going to conclude the discussion here for this morning, and I'm quickly going to go over to some admin and house rules. Okay?
Sorry, Advocate, just one last question.
Yes,
I don't
Angela?
see there's no provision for children who are left with grandparents. Let's say parents are deceased at birth or the mother dies at
Okay.
birth. What happens in that regard?
Okay. I want to answer two questions for you there. Angela, that's a very good question. Students, when the birth parents are no longer in the children's life, as Angela's made the example, when they are deceased, okay, a third party, such as grandparents or uncles or aunts, they have to bring an application to court. Okay, it's not automatic. They have to then bring an application to court to have parental rights and responsibilities in terms of Section 18 conferred onto them. Okay, Angela, do you have that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and then the second aspect I forgot to mention. Okay, students, we know that in terms of South African society, our society is rife with an issue such as teenage pregnancy and teenage motherhood. Okay, so where you have a situation where the biological mother of the child is under the age of 18 years old. Okay, very, very important, students. Where you have the situation where the biological mother of the child is under the age of 18 years old. Okay, parental rights and responsibilities will now be vested with the maternal mother, okay, with the maternal grandmother of the child, okay, until the biological mother reaches the age of 18 years old. Okay. So students, with that, I'm going to conclude today's discussion. Okay, in terms of some admin for students such as Angela and other students who live in the Cape Town area, Cape Town CBD, Sea Point, Greenpoint, Cape Town, as well as Cape Town northern suburbs, I am going to arrange with UNISA if it's possible for me to have face-to-face consultation sessions with you. I will let you know. And then also students, here's a link from Ms. Adele Blacker. She's our support from UNISA. She provides phenomenal support. Thank you for that, Adele. There's a feedback form that you must please complete. Okay, we need to assess whether this online platform is really providing the support we intending it to provide. Okay, so I need you to complete that. Okay, and then lastly, those students who have not entered the student numbers into the chat function, please do so. Okay, so students, if there are no other questions, okay,
Owen,
I will, yes,
it's
Adele?
Adele. The
Yes, Adele,
campus
how
is
are you?
unfortunately not open for any face-to-face interaction in terms of classes or sessions.
Yes.
So you will not be able to have face-to-face consultations at the campus. I can double check that for you, but that's the message that we got.
Okay, but my request will then be, I'm mindful that the campus cannot be accessed now. So my request will be if I can do it at maybe a coffee shop or the closest library or something like that, where we do have social distance protocols in place. So if that is possible, if you can find out that for me, then I can at least give the students the advantage of some face-to-face consultations, those of them who are in the Cape Town area. So that will then be my request to you.
Okay,
Yes,
hold
Adele?
on. You broke up when you spoke about the library. Just repeat that, please, Owen.
Okay. I am mindful that the UNISA facilities in Cape Town are still not accessible. So I'm very mindful of that. But my request would then be for students who are close to me in the Cape Town CBD or the northern suburbs, for me to either meet them at a coffee shop or the closest public library or something like that, where we can still have face-to-face and adhere to social distance protocols. That would be my request for you to consider.
Okay. I will check that with management and then I will get back to you over the weekend. Is that okay?
Yes, so I will wait on guidance from you. So I haven't said to students that it's cast in stone. I said to them on the proviso that I discuss it with you and that UNISA approves of it.
Owen, my question then would be, how would you book it in on the consultations platform?
Okay, then that is something the two of us need to iron out. Then that's why I need to wait on guidance from you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Adele.
Owen, I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so students, you have the feedback form to complete, and then if you want to have consultation sessions with me, you need to complete the request form, and then you must also put your student numbers into the chat function. Okay, so students, thank you for today's discussion. Have a good weekend, work hard, and we'll see each other on Monday evening. We'll speak to each other on Monday evening again for ILW. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thank you, Adele.
Pleasure, Owen. Have a lovely weekend.
Same to you. Bye.